Hello everyone, welcome to our Artist Talk this evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Julia, the Education Assistant at Lansing Art Gallery and Education Center. And here with me tonight we have several team members. We have Michelle Carlson, our Education Director, Allie and Kaylee, our interns. Oh, Allie's got a puppy, she can't wait. We also have Barb Whitney, our Executive Director. She's in the back. And I see a couple of board members as well. So welcome and thank you for joining us. Excuse the bug. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Lansing Art Gallery and Education Center has been a staple nonprofit organization in our community for 50 years now, and the leader in public arts creation for 12. ArtPath is one of those fantastic programs and is due to the hard work of Katrina Daniels, our Exhibitions and Gallery Sales Director, and Emily Stevens of the Lansing Parks and Recreation Department. So we thank them profusely for all of this wonderful work that they do. And we'd like to give thanks to our sponsor for this particular site. That's Becky 10-3. Yay. And without further ado, I will go ahead and hand the mic over to our wonderful artist, Waleed Johnson. Please welcome me in joining him.
Thank you all for coming. Yeah, so I guess I should start kind of from the beginning. I was just kind of talking with Whitney, and she was saying, like, when people ask about, like, how long does this thing take, you kind of got to go back to the beginning, like, how did you get to be an artist, this whole process. And so I'm from Detroit, and I always kind of grew up liking art, but specifically I was just kind of like a kind of drawing pencil only kind of deal. I never really experimented with color. That was something scary that I didn't want to touch. And I wanted to be an artist, and then I don't know how to say it. I wouldn't say my mom said no, but she did say yes, you know? It was kind of, I understand why. So I ended up going to school at University of Notre Dame for engineering, and I kind of thought that was just it. Like, my art career is kind of behind me, and it was something, you know, that I was passionate about, but not something I was going to pursue. But then I found out they had a dual degree program at my school, and so you could stay 5 years and get like 2 bachelors. So I was like, oh, you know, I'll do this and like do art that way. And so that was where I took my first painting class, and I think that was around, I think that was 2014. So that's the first time I like actually learned how to paint and did oil paintings was there. And so then I graduated and I came back to Detroit. And I was like, I really like this oil painting thing. Like, I want to kind of stick with it, see where it goes. So I would, in between like working at my job, you know, I would do painting, and yeah, I got some opportunities from that, and started to get in some shows, and then I started thinking about like the murals that were up in Detroit. There's a lot, and they just keep coming, and it was kind of inspiring to me. I was like, wow, like this public art thing is like really cool, and how it has the ability to impact communities, and how it just changes how I look at the space. And yeah, and I just felt like that was something I wanted to do and to contribute to that. So then I kind of started seeking out opportunities to do public art, and it definitely was a big change up, I would say, because oil painting was my first love, and anyone who knows anything about that knows it's completely different. I kind of like to mix a few colors, but kind of take it easy, like throw something on the canvas, still paint while it's wet. That's kind of my process of like, it's kind of casual and not too planned out, but I really love blending, and that doesn't really work that well for acrylic paint, so I kind of had to come up with some new strategies for that. And yeah, I think that's one of the big differences in how I approach these things, is just I try to like mix almost all of the colors I have beforehand when I'm doing murals, so that I can have at least something that's close enough so that I can be able to do a little bit of blending before it dries within the like 2 seconds that it's on the wall. But I'm getting used to it and learning more about it. But yeah, there was just something special to me about murals, and I still do oil painting as well, but the mural space was just something like I felt like I wanted to get into that and be a part of it. And I think another really cool thing, I think especially this opportunity, like when I travel to do a mural, it's weird, but it kind of feels like a cultural exchange in some way. It's like I am coming to a different community. You guys are welcoming me in. I get to contribute something that hopefully the community likes, and then I also get to learn about the community and meet other artists, and yeah. But so I guess that's kind of how I got into murals. And in terms of subject matter, I would say that pretty much the majority of what I do is portraiture. And that also started in college. So I remember I wanted to do like a really complex final project for my painting class, the first painting class I took. My teacher just kind of recommended, like, why don't you try a portrait? And I was like, you know what, all right, I'll give it a try. And once I did that, I ended up really liking it, and I really haven't gone back since. I mean, I've done a couple of like one-off pieces that were landscapes and stuff, but to me, there's just something like, I just feel like me personally, I can connect better when it's, and you know, I can connect with other art as well, but like, I just love painting people. It's something that, yeah, that just human connection is something I feel like I can, makes it easier to express emotions, and I feel like people can relate to it, no matter even if it's like someone that's, you know, from a completely different background or different experience than them. I just think there's something that intrigues me about portraiture, so I kind of stuck with it, and yeah, the majority of the people that I paint are people of color, and I think that started, I feel like it kind of just started by like painting just the people around me, but then I decided to kind of be intentional about it, because I felt like in terms of representation, there are some paintings and public art of people of color, but I feel like in general when I see them, it's most of the time it's like has something to do with suffering or like overcoming obstacles and all that, which is great, like there's a space for that, but I also feel like there's a space for, you know, people to just be represented and just doing their everyday life or doing normal things that, you know, that doesn't require like overcoming something or oppression. So that's kind of been my what I've been focusing on, and so that's part of the motivation for this piece. But in terms of how this piece actually came about, so I generally have like I don't know if I have a set working style, but I like to take pictures of people, and then sometimes I might use them, like I might have something actually in mind when I take them, like okay, I want to make this composition and then go from there, or sometimes I just take the pictures and then I kind of just wait until the inspiration hits me. But this actually was not a picture originally that I took. I was scrolling through Instagram, and I've painted Liz before, and I don't know, I saw this picture of her and I was like, this is something. I don't know what it is yet, but like I really like this, so I just kind of like saved it on Instagram, bookmarked it for later. And then when I found out about the opportunity for ArtPath, I just went back to that picture and revisited it and started thinking about it, and like, I don't know, it just hit me. I was like, this is kind of what I want to do. And the idea behind it is just kind of being unbothered despite your circumstances, despite whatever may be around you. That's kind of what the storm clouds are representing. Like, despite everything going on, she doesn't care. She's still shining. Her light is still there, and she's going about her day. Just being not caring about what's going on. So that was the motivation behind this piece, and I think that there are a couple questions I'm going to look at that I was sent, but let's see. Okay, so what has been the biggest influence on my art? I think that definitely I would say my teacher, my painting teacher, Maria, in college, because she's the one who suggested portraiture, but kind of just all of the art that I see around me in Detroit. I feel like Detroit is a really creative city. You can go into some random parts that you wouldn't expect to find anything, and there would be like a sculpture park or like a random mural that you've never heard of. And I guess I'll have to fight with myself on the word, but used to drive around like not too long after I graduated from college and just look at the murals and just try to soak it all in. So I would say that definitely the environment that I'm in is inspiring to me. And of course people, just the people that I meet, the people that I talk with who share their stories. Let's see. Oh, okay. Another question is about future projects. So right now, in terms of mural work, like I did 2 murals this year so far. This one and then one in West Virginia, and then I have 5 more that I'm supposed to do in Detroit. And so right now I'm a part of the City Walls residency program, which is basically just beautifying areas in Detroit. There's three of us artists, and we each do 5 murals. So that's kind of the next focus right now is on that. And I wanted to do at least 2 murals this year, so I would say 7 is kind of exceeding my plan, but I'm happy. I think that's a good problem to have, especially back home. Like the first mural that I'm starting on is like not too far from where I grew up at, so that's really meaningful to me. And I just think that's one of the benefits of doing this kind of work and being able to contribute to my community in such a unique way. Let's see. Oh, another good question. How do you convey emotion through painting and specifically portraiture? For me, I feel like I try to keep it simple. I really just like rely on like facial expressions and color. I think are like some of the main things that I use. On some of my oil paintings, I use texture as well to kind of convey emotion, but for the most part, it's just about, I don't know, if I look at my work, I feel like a lot of the portraits I have are like people with facial expressions that are kind of like a little bit ambiguous, like they're not like, you can't tell if they're like mad, happy, it's just kind of like in between. But I love the gaze of just looking directly at the viewer. I just feel like it engages people in a different way, and it's also really just interesting to watch people like looking at the painting and trying to figure out what it means. And but in general, color and facial expressions is what I try to utilize to express emotion. Let's see. Oh, this is a question I get all the time about engineering. Does that influence my art and vice versa? And I don't know, I feel like I let people down because I'm generally like, no, not really. But I think if anything, art influences my engineering in terms of like just being creative and thinking of different approaches to problems, because I feel like sometimes engineers can be very like, this is the solution, there's no other way kind of thing, and thinking outside of the box. But in terms of engineering with art, I don't know, like other than like measuring the dimensions of something, like, I don't know, I don't really, I know some people like do computer generated art or like kind of combine the two together in that way, but I don't know. Both sides are in my head, and maybe they influence me in a way that I'm not necessarily conscious of, but that's... And let's see, another good question about what do people take away, what do I hope that people take away from my work? Well, I hope people get inspired. I think that's the main thing, and hopefully I've accomplished that. I feel like I had a really good interaction when I was painting this mural. A guy came down and he was just talking about like his life was difficult and he had some things he was going through, but he was just talking about like how this brightened his day and like this encouraged him. And that's really, I think that's at the core of it. Like there's, there are different layers. Like I said, I want to represent people of color in a positive way and just showing them in their everyday lives. But if someone just takes out of it, like they just see some inspiring color, something uplifting, or they see someone overcoming obstacles, that's enough for me. That's really what I want, just something positive. Yeah, I think that is really about all I have, but if there are any questions.
So the 5 murals that you're going to do in Detroit, and I think there's like 15. Is there an overall theme? Is there a theme that you're going to do? Is there a connecting theme for the 3 artists?
No, so they kind of are, it's kind of all up to us, but we do have to, so when the buildings are selected, we try to meet with community members and see kind of what they're thinking, and if the building is owned by a specific owner, like some of the buildings are owned by the city, but if they're owned by an owner, then we talk to them as well. But they're trying to strike a balance between creative freedom, but also wanting to represent what the community has in mind. So, but there's no specific theme tying them together, at least not yet, but that's something that, I'm open to.
I have a question about the location. You mentioned that one of the murals is nearby where you grew up. For those of us who know Detroit, can you share?
Oh yeah, it's on East Warren. It's right near. It's a couple blocks from Outer Drive. Like it used to be a Pizza Hut, and it's a farmers market. And so yeah, that's where it is.
I'll ask a question. When did you get started doing murals, and how did you get started doing murals?
That's a great question. So getting started was actually kind of difficult, I feel like. But I believe the first mural was in 2018. So I did one every year since 2018, except for this year. I guess it's going to be 7. So exponential increase. But I started with, so I was trying to find opportunities. It wasn't necessarily working. And then I found out about, so Highland Park, I'm sure everyone is familiar with Highland Park. They had a grant program specifically for artists. And I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I believe I was at Detroit Breakfast Club, which is like a artist group. People come together every week and just present their art. People buy it or people give feedback. But I learned about that opportunity there, so I applied for it, and I ended up being. I don't know how I got connected to the site, but someone connected me with a guy named Juan who was doing a renovation project at Highland Park for an old school. He's trying to make it into kind of a community-based area with like aquaponics, food, everything. Trying to support community. And he was interested in the mural, so then we kind of partnered together, and that was the first actual mural that I did. And really before that, I painted something on my mom's garage because I knew she was gonna paint over it. So that was some practice. But I kind of just threw myself into it and was like, well, I tried to start a little bit playing around with acrylic before that, but I was like, I'll just kind of learn it as I go. And so, yeah.
So what is the largest, because I know you started as an oil painter, so what is the largest piece so far that you've done, and how tricky have you found the leap from canvas size to wall?
The biggest piece was in Inkster. It's around like 11 feet tall, but it's like 40 something feet long. I think the biggest adjustment for me is time, because I kind of paint slow, but I think in general I paint slow, and then I just like to have fun with it, step back, a bunch of times and do whatever, but like trying to be a little bit more efficient with it when it's something that big, and kind of figuring out a plan of attack as well. Like, do I want to start here? Do I want to, work on one thing until I get into a good spot, or cover a lot of ground? And so I think, that's been the biggest challenge. But
Do you use spray cans, or do you always use a palette or cans or whatever?
So that's kind of a work in progress. Like, I want to learn more spray painting. I haven't done much of it, just kind of like if I need to cover some areas like these black clouds started off with just spray paint, but right now I'm more comfortable with brush, but I hope to expand because I think that would also help in terms of doing stuff quicker.
Any more questions this evening? Take a minute to think about it.
One more question. Cool. Is your mom happy now that you're fulfilling your art side and her engineering desire?
Yes, she is, and I'm just giving her a hard time. Like I understand,
Yeah.
but yeah, she's happy. She's always like, oh look at. She actually lives in Alaska, so she's like always like showing people up there. Oh look at my son. I'm like, no one cares about your son. Like they don't even know who I am, but yeah, she's.
Question. Did she paint over your work on her garage?
She did, but like I knew that was gonna happen. Like that was like it wasn't a surprise. That's why I did it. I was like the garage was kind of paint was chipping. I was like, this is a good opportunity to practice. But yeah, it's somewhere under there. So maybe in like 1,000 years they'll like do an X-ray and be like, oh, there's a paint under there. But.
Alrighty, well, if there are no more questions, then we'll close out for the evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. And if anyone has social media posts, please tag us and use #LansingArtPath. We really appreciate it. Thank you everyone so much for coming.